Hello there, it's me, earthmanbrick. Oh, I've got the wrong GIF on. Let me just change that. There we go, all sorted. So, yes, it's me, earthmanbrick, and I've got a bit of a story to tell you. It's essentially, I've been making a whole bunch of Wild West builds. Loving them. Absolutely having the time of my life. Making up all this Wild West stuff. And predominantly for a game called Dead Man's Hand, which is a cowboys and Indians sort of kind of game, where there's actually a whole litany of different factions. I think the Indians and stuff like the what is it they're called again? The Pinkertons. And there's even like supernatural elements and stuff that they've thrown in to the game. Very cool, very expansive, lots of cool things. And yeah, the plastic kits are solid, really good stuff. And one of the things that kind of threw me though was when I was looking at the products, like mainly on the buildings and scenery front. Like the buildings and everything are fine, there's no issues there. Let me just pull it up. Get to the right bit. There we go. So yeah, we've got all these fine looking buildings here. We've got a recently made gallows set. A bit much for 20 quid, but you know, if you're into it, you go for it. I've no compunctions there. And we've got all this stuff here. We've got all these buildings, which are 35 quid for a 2-story. I mean, considering it's all plastic and you get accessories like barrels and hitching posts, you get signs, you get stairs. Very cool. Actually, pretty reasonably priced on this. That's it there. And yeah, you can see it all. It all comes unpainted. It's even got the swing doors, which apparently wasn't a thing during the Wild West. Those were invented much, much later and became ubiquitous after the fact. But whenever you tune into certain media and shows, they're just a kind of a given. So, you know, I mean, throw them in your games or not. It doesn't bother me. I think it's pretty cool. But anyway, apparently not historically accurate. But yeah, these plastic kits, well worth the bang for your buck. I've actually got the big box set of the starter kit for Dead Man's Hand, and once the studio's all fixed up, I'll go and focus on that. But for now, I'm just kind of looking at all these. And yeah, the plastic soldiers kits, like these accessories, they're all good. They're all relatively reasonably priced and stuff. I've got no compunction. But the thing that kind of threw me was these building headers. So yeah, you'd think, okay, that's what you get in the set. And it's like 12 quid for just 3 building headers. And they're unpainted. There's really nothing going on. I thought, that's a bit strange. It's not really something I'd go out of my way to buy. It's something I'd go out of my way to create. And so I've kind of done just that. And here's how you can kind of more or less go about it. I'll just switch back here. Excuse me. So yeah, I've got these, this is just an Amazon card here, just Amazon packaging. I've just cut a square out. You can use any card you want, really. Obviously, if it's brown, it saves you having to do quite as much painting because you don't have to base coat it if it's already gonna more or less turn into a building sign. So yeah, I would start here. And then to get that whole kind of, what is it, like the arch shape and things, what I would typically do is just kind of fold the whole thing in half. So, yep, and you don't have to worry about how creased it, I mean, look at that, it's bloody messy. But you don't have to worry about that because what we're going to do, later, we'll fix it. So for now, I just want to have a sort of a kind of a crown shapes kind of thing. So we would start about here, cut up, and then we would cut up at another angle, right roundabouts there, and then we would just have it peak at the top here, unfolded, and bam, there's your general shape for your header board. And that's kind of most of the heavy lifting done there. And then you would kind of glue it on put it onto a back of card, and then put more card on the other side. You know, you can add as many layers as you want until it's suitably reinforced. And then you've got kind of options here. Once you've got the card on the back on both sides and it's nice and clear, you can just use cut this into strips and glue that on, and that'll work as your kind of your wooden planks on the surface. But you've also got other options. You can do what I did, and you can buy a whole set of these. It's only like a £5 for wooden stirrers, and that's like 1,000 of them. You're not going to run out anytime soon. And that's what I've made the majority of my ones from. And then it's just a case of gluing and cutting them on. So you just like glue on and chop off the excess once it's all kind of, you've got them all layered on. And then you could sand it down and stuff. I didn't bother. I just went over with scissors and just cut off the bits I didn't want. And yeah, that's kind of generally works. You can see one side's a bit more, it's not entirely even, and you can just kind of more or less go around it again. And if you're not entirely convinced or want to do this by hand, and you want to sort of be a bit more exact about how even it is on both sides, then you can simply just kind of go over with a larger piece of card, right over the back, trace over the thing, fold the card in half, unfold it, and then use that as a guide. So it's like mirrors that half again. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but anyway, I'm just going to roll with it. So we've got our card like this, and then what you can do is you can go around with more card, just some thin strips like this, and then glue it on to the base. And this is why you might want to thicken it up a bit more. So you can glue it around, fold it around, and create a sort of a kind of, what would you call that? Just a kind of a banner around the edge, or a border. Yeah, just a border around the edge there. And then you can do that a few times. You can do it once. You can, kind of please yourself, trim off the excess or leave the excess. Entirely up to you as to how you want to go about yours. And in terms of like writing and signage, they do actually sell a separate stencil set, which will just be one type of lettering, which isn't ideal, because you don't want everything to be in the same font. You want to be different sized letters and things. And you're not going to get all that from one stencil. So what other options are there? Well, if I go back to here, we've got Sarissa Precision. They have a free, this is entirely free, Wild West PDF sign sheet. And this is it here. If I click on the magnifying glass, you can see it all there. You've got all the signage. And yeah, there's quite a fair bit. We've got a dry goods general store. This gunsmith sign, really nice. Open image, a new tab. Try not to close the tab as I'm clicking into it. And zoom in here, you can get a much better look at the full thing. So there's that's like the absolute seller. That's the one everyone wants to use. Then you've got your kind of other more generalized ones. You've got a whole myriad of posters that you can stick on the side of your buildings. It's really great, and it's free as well. So as long as you've got access to a color printer, brilliant. You can just glue these on with PVA glue onto your signposts and stuff, and you can see we've got the sheriff, dentist, bank, saloon, and we've got all these extra signs and stuff as well. And let me just show you. If I go back here, so I've got one here. Here's Dr. Schultz, and again, just using PVA or your polyvinyl acetate glue, and just go around the edges. Ooh, I maybe spurted a bit too much there. It got overzealous and happy. Now it's made a bit of a mess, but you can easily scoop that up, put it back on. Let's see. Just try and think the good thing about PVA is that you've got a little bit more wiggle room in terms of application time. Wriggle room. Whatever. Bloody hell. So we just pop that on. Maybe a bit more on the top. There we go. Smear it in and get it nice and along and work it into these grooves. Then we'd leave that to dry and then we'd go over it with paint and stuff. So I'll just set that to one side. Got another set of ones here. And of course with the smaller ones you can just sort of chop them out and put them on. That's an example with the cardboard there as opposed to the wooden stirrers, and you can see it's still pretty bloody effective. That's some side by side there so you can see the comparison. So yeah, it works. And I'm going to keep a lot of these signs and use them in future builds. Now, I've got when you're chopping, if you're going with this approach and you've got lots of offcuts of all the small knobbly bits, don't throw them away because you can use them for signage like this. There we go, there's our saloon. And I've just sort of used all these bits just to act as spacers so that we can glue the other half of this saloon sign on. Make sure it's the right way up, that helps. Sort of glue that in place and bam! That'll be ready to sort of wedge in between on an MDF kit. So we've got one of those hangout signs that you can see from the sides of the building. So I'll just glue that on. I won't bother with the PVA. Not if it's going to be that messy. I'll just use the super glue. It's I prefer to work with super glue whenever I can because it's a faster drying medium. And I'm all about speed. Just don't tell the ladies that. Ah, dear. So, glue that on. That's it all there. And then to tidy up this, we would just go over it with a nice trim of card. Maybe wait until that's glued on first. Wait until that's cured. And sometimes, if you need it to kind of hold in place and compress, it's good to use a clamp. So I'll just stick a clamp either side here. There we go. And that'll keep it squashed together so it cures a lot easier. So yeah, I'll do that later on. And I've got another one here. This is an assayer. I didn't know what an assayer was. I had to look it up. What they do, the other sign there kind of tells the story. We accept gold dust. What they do is they take in metals. So if you're a miner and stuff, which there was a hell of a lot of mining, resource acquisition, the assayer would take a lot of the metals and the gold and whatnot, and they would take it, weigh it, and give you coin and stuff for your currency. And then they, you know, that's generally what they would do. So they would have like a set of scales and stuff. Let's just get this sign on. I'm just going to use super glue this time around. Again, you're probably better off using PVA for some of these things. Obviously, if you're a younger person, you'll want to use PVA as opposed to super glue. Because super glue is... it's got fumes and stuff, because unlike PVA, which is a water-based medium, super glue, some people like to abuse certain types of glues. Apparently quite common in some places. Would not recommend it. There we go, there's our assayer sign. We accept gold dust. And I've got some other ones made up here. So there's our Ackerman and Company, attorneys at law. And because this is cured relatively quickly, I'll show you how I'm going to go about painting these. And yeah, I'm not bothering with a border on these ones. I think they look fine enough. And quite frankly, I just can't be bothered. So I'm going to go in with not this color, because this is a mixture of paints. It's actually kind of got a bit of a purpley tinge. So I'm going to switch to this paint here. This is Antelope Brown. It's acrylic ink. And I'll just use where's my ugly brush? My ugly brush is my favorite brush. I like to keep my other brushes clean forever. So once this one dies, I'll maybe start using other brushes. But yeah, the head of this brush is like the top of a pineapple. Messy, but you know, just kind of how some people are, and they like things. Let's just get this on. You can see it's not going on too well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some isopropanol, which is just basically using it as a more or less a kind of a paint thinner, just to water it down. You can just use water, but I prefer isopropanol, because it cures the medium faster. And you can also use it to keep your brushes cleaner as well. There we go. It's starting to look the part. Just put a few drops here and there. A little bit more isopropanol. And just spread it around. There we go. And yeah, this is why I like working with the wooden stirrers, typically, as opposed to just the card, because you get more of a kind of a staining effect, like you would get with wood. You can actually use staining pens on wood. Trouble is, those pens are relatively expensive. It's like £3 or so, whereas this stuff, the acrylic ink and whatnot, it tends to last a lot longer, I find. But each to their own. Again, there's many ways to and approaches you can kind of take. I think that generally works. So I'll just get in those bits there. Extra little drop won't hurt. There we go. Yeah, it's good enough. Throw that down. This one, I don't even think it needs it. It's fine. This one, it's dry enough now. That's the one we PVA glued on. Just put a little bit of ink around. And I'm just more or less staining the wood. Trying not to get it on the sign itself or the printed out part. And again, if you want to sort of make your own signs, it's easy enough. You can print them and make them up on the internet. I tend to use AI to make a sample, and a good keyword I like to use is just, what is it? It's shabby chic. So if you type in shabby chic wood panels, you'll get a nice back panel of wood. And then you can just look up a website like Font Space and find some Wild West lettering and make your own sign, and then take the lettering and stuff for whatever you want to make. Grab maybe a logo or an image of something, and then use a open source tool like GIMP, and yeah, put it all together and stick them all on a kind of a PDF file, and then print that out. I've done that many a time, and it's yeah, it's easy enough. Let me know if you want me to kind of go through that type of thing. and I will make it a separate dedicated video. But I don't want this one to be too long. So the next step, so now that we've got that brown on, the signs still look a bit too nice and clean and tidy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my big large brush here. This is 25mm, 1 inch, much the same. And white house paint, quick shake, stick it on the end, wipe off the excess. There we go. So there's not as much on it. Put that away. And now I'm just going to stipple on the back of the thing, take off the worst part, or the most part, of the white. We've not got as much on there. And then I'm just going to kind of stipple over the surface just to give it that weathered look. And you can kind of see that effect there. More or less works. Gives it that aged aesthetic. Do the same with this one. You just hammer it on. There we go. That looks aged and sufficient for the Wild West. Do the same with our guns. Yep, good enough. And this one. The paint's still a little bit wet, but let's see if that actually adds to it or not. There we go. A little bit more at the top. Just giving it a full-grown dry brush. Yeah, you can see it's turned it a slight brown, so if it is too light in some areas, you can hit it up with the brown tinted. That kind of works. Hit this up with a little bit of brown as well. Good enough. And then if, you know, some of the letters are a bit too vague or faded and stuff, you can kind of go back over it with the isopropanol. Let's see, where's a good part? See the ampersand there? The "and" logo. I'll just go over that, just very loosely, so you can see the full shape again. There we go. Make it look like a stain. Put it on the top. Drag it down. You can see that ampersand logo is back on again. More brown at the top. And you can just kind of drag it down. Make some light weathering and staining. I think it's because I still had brown on this brush here. Should have cleaned it properly. Maybe use it on a bit on here. Yeah, and I think that more or less works. A little bit more. That's a bit more legible. Yeah. And if your lettering is still a bit too weak and it doesn't really pop out quite the way that you're wanting, what you can do is you can go over the outline of the letters with a biro pen and really get them to strike out a bit more. So that's those all done. You see, very quick, very relatively easy. And I've got some other signs. This is one for the bank, credit available, and on the other side, savings and loans. It's just a case of going around the edge, probably with a black marker pen. Because it's a bank, it would have a nice professional looking sign. There we go. Not much point in breaking out the brush and stuff again. Hit up those edges and things. Now we'll just leave that red, and then you can have that hanging at the side of a building. That's just a bit of plastic there. Can't remember where that actually came from. I just found it. And here's some signs I've already done. So you can see we've got the post office, we've got the bank, and we've got the livery. And you can see I've gone round the outline of the letters with the black biro pen. And I've given a slight edge to these parts as well. So they've got that banner trim around the edges. So yeah, that's how you can make your own signs on a shoestring budget. So the signs you can get for free, the cardboard you can get for free. The only thing you really need to pay for, which if you're already crafting and modeling, you're already going to have glue, you're already going to have paint. So you might want to get these. Again, it's like 1,000 for like a $5. Bloody cheap. And if we go back to here, yep, you can get this. I'll put a link in the description below for the signs from Sarissa. That's a hard word to say. But yeah, the Dead Man's Hand building headers, 3 for 12 quid. You've got another option here. You can easily make your own. So do you want to spend 12 quid on 3 plastic and what is it they call them? Building headers. Or do you want to have a go at making your own? You can see here what I've done for this sign. Flip it around. You can see it's just bits of the Amazon box packaging or envelope. Sign on that side, and then for these corners, all I've done is just gone round with a leather rotary hole punch and just punched in each of the corners. Very simple, very effective. And then for the trim, I've just gone round with a bit of gold. Works a treat. Cheap and cheerful. So yeah. Will you have a go at making your own signs? Let me know in the comments below. Want to know? It's like, would you be happy spending 12 quid on building headers? Genuine question, because I don't know. I mean, to me, absolutely not. But some people, I don't know, might. But yeah, that's all I've got for you today. So, thanks again for watching, and